Blind Vera. She was a clairvoyant from Bortnichi who predicted the war. There is nothing made up in what you are about to hear. A priest's conscience does not allow me to invent anything of my own. Today, I'm talking about Blind Vera, who lived in the village of Bortnichi near Kiev. As one well-known elder nun, Schema Nun Magdalena from the Florovsky Monastery, now deceased, once said in my presence, "Vera is a child of God." And so more and more people know about Blind Vera, and her fame continues to spread, with more and more pilgrims visiting her grave. In our hospital church of St. Michael, there was a sister of mercy named Victoria, who cared for the sick and for women in prisons. Her volunteer work was broad and fruitful. She was the one who took me to a white Ukrainian house with a warm stove to visit Blind Vera. Even in the yard in front of the house where the clairvoyant lived, I was filled with awe. You know, her yard already reminded me of the porch and courtyard of the venerable elder Paisios on Athos. When I entered the little house, Vera was sitting at the table under a large icon of Saint Nicholas. I saw a petite, thin woman, her head wrapped in a Ukrainian headscarf. She stood up and said, "Father Roman," and smiled so sincerely and joyfully that it touched my heart. She jumped up like a child and held her hands together for a blessing. I blessed her. I admired the rare humility in her every movement. During our conversation, the phenomenon I always experience when speaking with a holy person, especially with the elders of Athos. The mind clears, and answers to all the questions you want to ask the holy person come to you immediately. I've noticed this so many times, a certain ease and openness in conversation. And, on the contrary, around someone with a pretentious spirituality, I always feel uncomfortable, psychologically strained, and grow weary from the tension. Vera's home was a small room with a low ceiling. The walls were covered with icons. At that time, Vera wasn't living alone. Her Aunt Ksenia, a little old lady, lived with her and helped with the household chores. I suggested serving a short memorial litany for the departed, and Vera gladly agreed. I don't know why, but I always find more joy in serving a memorial litany than in prayers for health. Perhaps it's because the departed, in an inexplicable way, convey their gratitude to us. So, after praying, I asked this holy person if I could visit from time to time and bring some food supplies. About 2 or 3 times a month, I would visit Vera, especially when returning from Mount Athos. Sensing her clairvoyance, I once brought with me the relics of some unknown monks who had been buried on the grounds of the Kiev Lavra during Soviet times. The relics had once been brought to our church by the late Father Maxim. The skulls were of a honey-brown color, similar to those found in the reliquaries in the caves of the Kiev-Pechersk Lavra. As soon as I entered Vera's house, before I even asked anything or said a word, just holding the bundle with the relics in my hand, she suddenly sprang up, clapping her hands. "Hieromink Mikhailu, Hieromink Ivan have come to me." Chills ran down my spine. I unwrapped the bundle and took out the skulls, which Vera kissed. Then I lit the censer and, as usual, served a memorial litany for the departed. Thus, I visited Vera with unknown relics more than once. It was truly a miracle. She saw the departed and communicated with them. About a year before Vera's death, I visited her less frequently, even though she eagerly awaited my visits. I remember my last visit vividly. By that time, her Aunt Ksenia had already passed away, and Vera was ill. But when she was told that I had come, she came down from the stove and received me. That day, Vera began to speak about the future on her own. She said, "Father Roman, something terrible is coming," and she covered her face with her hands. Tears streamed through her fingers. "There will be a terrible war, so much blood. Pray, pray, Father Roman, pray." When? What? Could it really happen? I asked, bewildered. But all I heard was the same, "Something terrible is coming. Pray, pray, Father Roman." Her words left me breathless, and I kept hearing her say, "Many will be killed, there will be so much blood, one funeral after another." Those were my last meetings with Blind Vera. When I asked what we should do, her answer was always the same, "Pray, pray, Father Roman." Vera wasn't born blind. She lost her sight in childhood due to an illness. Doctors proposed surgery and promised that her sight could be restored. However, the Virgin Mary appeared to the child and said, "It is better for you, Vera, to remain blind and not undergo the surgery." Although the doctors could have restored her sight, the young girl chose to listen to the Virgin Mary. As a result of her obedience, she was granted the gift of communication with the heavenly world of angels. Vera constantly engaged in heartfelt prayer, and the Spirit of God dwelled within her. Her death was also miraculous. At that time in the village church of Bortnici, Father Mikola served, a priest who outwardly appeared strict toward Vera, though everyone else respected her. In contrast, he humbled her. One day, after a service, as he was giving the cross for veneration after the liturgy, he jokingly said to Vera, "Vera, when will you die already?" In response, Vera joyfully folded her hands and replied, "Father, bless me." That very day, upon returning home, Vera lay down, made the sign of the cross, and with a joyful smile, gave her soul to God. It was a painless, peaceful Christian death. Everyone who enters the room of the deceased experiences a celestial fragrance left behind by the angels who took the soul of the righteous one. Recently, there was a miraculous incident near our church involving the appearance of the blind seer Vera to one of our sisters of mercy. She was asking for help for the poor people affected by the war. However, I will share that story in another conversation. Now, many priests from Kiev visit Vera's grave, serving memorial services and bringing their congregations to sing hymns. Everyone feels the power of this holy place and burial site. Vera's home is also preserved as a sanctuary. This is my first story about the blessed blind seer Vera. If you liked this video, please kindly give the video a thumbs up, comment, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. May the Lord keep you.